All right, then we're joined now in the studio for more on this. We have local government consultant, Mr. Fikile Pili. Thank you so very much, sir, for joining us here on Afro Breakfast. Great to see you again.
Good morning. Good morning to you and your viewers.
Well, before we get to the issue of municipalities, I really want to start by talking about individuals in this particular case, and we'll move on. I know that your place of expertise is local government, but as a start, for those clients, those VBS clients who are, and I suppose rightly so, worried about their monies, will they indeed get their monies? We've heard the assurances, we've heard that Nedbank will get involved, but will there be, in your view, any glitches as far as you can tell?
Before I could start, let me start by congratulating Dr. Khosi Maeba as the chairperson of City of Tshwane. And I want to inform the people of Tshwane that infrastructure is coming back to the townships and to the people. They have elected what a credible leader and an academic and a visionarist. When it comes to the issue of deposits of banks from the people who did deposit at VBS, I've got my doubts. Because we have seen on social media, traditional leaders, kings, chiefs have bought helicopters, they've bought cars, they've bought houses. So at the end of the day, I don't believe some of the people are going to get the money back simply because I don't believe the resources will be enough for the people, especially the people who are based in Venda, who invested in the first black-owned bank. You know, it has caused the pride of the African people, and then our dignity has gone down simply because it was not about the people, it was more about the resources and the dynamics. You know, they did not become a bank, they became a political party. Yeah. That's why you find that what they've done also into the community of Venda and Limpopo, it was a disgrace to the pride of African people.
Now, you talk about the pride of African people, but, more importantly, and on that note, the future of the bank, of course, is now uncertain. I mean, what does this mean then going forward for, hopes of a new black bank? Just recently, we had a young lady here in studio, and they were talking about marching and having, the first female black-owned bank. And, a story like this, in particular, would hit them hard as well if you consider that going forward, if anyone tries to, start a new black bank, someone will go, but do you remember VBS?
I'll be honest with you. When I first heard of VBS, I called a friend at City Press. I said, as someone who works with municipalities, I was going to lobby that municipalities must bank with them because I was so excited. I was thinking that for the very first time as Africans, we've got our own banks. It means VBS was going to finance the infrastructure and for municipalities in order for us to deliver better services. But I was shocked when I see, the dynamics of looting the money of the people, Now, going forward, I think in municipalities, those who deposited bank money at VBS were given political mandate, which was very wrong. Because at the end of the day, those who deposit money as municipalities, their leaders will receive resources. You understand me? Because at the end of the day, VBS is not a mutual bank. You understand me? So at the end of the day, I think our people made a huge mistake. That's why I'm saying in politics, we deploy people who toe the line. We don't deploy visionarists. I mean, if you are towing the line, we don't care in politics if you are from EPWP. They can put you in a municipality as long as you listen to the chair. They will tell you, no, this is the person of the chair, chair. We don't want such people. We want academics, we want visionaries. VBS has cost us as Africans to establish our own bank because our people are not going to have confidence in us. But I also blame our national treasury. I mean, how many blacks are chartered accountants? How many blacks are bank managers? Why can't you just take money from treasury and finance the banks? You understand me? And finance a black bank. Let me make you an example. Your daughter is a student at VETS. She gets a tender at Ekurhuleni for 30 million. as a junior engineer. Do you think the banks are going to finance her? They won't finance her because of why she does not have a track record, she doesn't have a finance. But if we had our own bank, we could have talked to Ekuruleni to make sure that they pay a certain portion of the project into our bank. We give it to your child in order for her to start her project. You understand me? So for as long as we don't have a bank as Africans, we'll never realize the economy. But at the end of the day, there's also this thing of politics of the stomach. You know, in politics, I'm challenging the African National Congress as my party. When they sit at their NEC, they must take a resolution that they must take to Parliament. All councillors must have qualifications, minimum a degree, because you can't take someone from EPWP and convert that person into a councillor. That person has never seen a 26,000 in his life. So this person is going to be crazy, you know. And sometimes you find that they take someone who was driving taxis, they make him a councillor. He's not a councillor, he's there to shoot our people. So at the end of the day, for the African National Congress to remain credible, to remain in power, we need to deploy academics in municipalities, people with a vision. You see, sometimes they impose councillors on the community. I have this view. You must choose the councillors. They must draft a business plan. They must present it to the community. The community must choose the type of councillor they want. You can't impose a councillor on the people. Can you imagine a Danda head leading academics? It's not going to happen in this country. We want to be led by visionaries. We want people who are academics, people who've got the interest of the people. South Africans are very disgruntled now because of why we don't render quality services. All we think about, you know what politicians talk about? Resources, dynamics, balance of forces. That is the only three languages they know. We don't want such leaders. We want people who are going to lead these municipalities with credibility.
Now, you know, you talk about the fact that initially you were very happy about VBS, as I think most black people were. But we heard, you know, Leseja Kganyago speaking there, and he said that you know, PIC and municipalities who deposited money with VBS had no business doing so, and it was in fact, from what I hear him say, it was in fact illegal. Talk to us about that.
I don't think Leseja Kganyago supports a black bank, simply because whatever they do, they go overseas and to talk to investors. Let me tell you something, my sister. South Africa, Africa as a whole, we are very wealthy. We don't need investors. If you say, like now the other day, the government went to London, they're talking about trillions. Do you know that to borrow that money from London, it means your great-grandchildren will be indebted to London again? We are selling the country to London. You heard in the Ministry of Minerals, they're saying blacks must own 30% of the mines. I don't support that. I want the state to own the mines. The state must have a bank. Whoever wants minerals must buy it from the state. The state, look today, have you ever heard of big companies like the mines or telecommunication companies building pit toilets in Limpopo? They don't support us as black government, you know. They just loot resources from us. So we are still going to go for a black bank, but we want it to be led by academics and visionaries. We do have money in South Africa. We don't have to borrow money. Treasury must look for black people in the same banks, lobby them. Let's start a branch in Pretoria or in Joburg, and then let's expand. I was saying to someone last week, if we are going to progress in municipalities, I was convinced that in future municipalities will pay social grants. You understand me? Because municipalities are nearer to the people. But today, because we don't have capacity in municipalities, municipalities can't pay social grants. You know, you go to municipalities. I did data cleansing in a municipality. I was so embarrassed. Sometimes these politicians, they deploy people who make resources. The lady was cleaning toilets. They convert her into a mayor, and she's now a PEC member. I did a data cleansing on another guy, because when I work with municipalities, I start with the staff. The municipal manager had a plumbing certificate and a matric. The CFO was a white man. He was writing off accounts of white farmers. And when I tell the mayor, he said, you don't understand the dynamics. So it tells you, in municipalities, we deploy hungry lions. We don't deploy people who've got the interest of the people. And municipalities are the pride of the people. We need to make sure that we run municipalities professionally so that our people should remain happy on the ground. You know, there are those municipalities who are credible, but the reality is ANC must go to an introspection conference where they are going to introspect themselves and ask themselves, are you deploying people in positions because they can make resources, or are you deploying people in positions because they can look after our people? South Africa, we don't need foreign investors. I'm one of those people who don't support BRICS. Why? Have you ever heard of someone from KwaMashu or in Khalishiwe who's got a tender in China? But the Chinese are getting tenders here. You see the BRICS is coming. They're not coming to empower us as Africans. They are coming to loot our minerals and our resources. Today, we all dress clothes from China. We don't have factories anymore. It's because we don't have visionaries in politics. That's why we cannot even own our economy. In Russia, what is nuclear? Just because the Russians are talking about nuclear, then you agree you want to buy nuclear. What makes you think you cannot do your own nuclear? You understand? Have you ever heard of a black person who's got a tender in India? They will never give you tenders, but you give people from outside tenders here in South Africa. It means we undermine the people. I'm saying to municipalities, if you want to give me a tender of construction, let me partner with the local service providers. I must groom them so that in the next 2-3 projects, they must be able to do the local projects. You understand? So we don't empower our people. We look for people who can provide resources.
Going back to the issue of VBS and particularly in relation to municipalities, to local government, it does seem from your perspective, what you're saying is that the municipalities were indeed on the right track to support a bank like VBS, but that the bank itself went wrong, as we see now. Going forward then, what would you say municipalities must then do? I mean, it seems as though they've now been pushed back into that corner of having to use the top 4 commercial banks that we know of, that Mr. Khanyago was saying they are supposed to have been using in the first place. So how do we then move forward? Because the picture you've painted now is a scary one, that it seems as though there's no way that the black majority can claim back the economy if things remain, and I suppose the status quo as they are right now.
I think, like I said in the beginning, we need to give our politicians stamina. Because at the end of the day, you cannot appoint a councillor who's going to micromanage the CFO and the municipal manager. You know, I work with municipalities. You come across, there's a council meeting, they're all sleeping. If the speaker say budget, they all wake up. So at the end of the day, you find a certain councillor, he's in control of the whole municipalities. The mayor gets mandate from him or her because of he's the person of the chairperson. We don't need that. I am going to say to Zweli Mkhize, the Minister of Corporate and his deputy and his COO and COGTA as a whole, please, let's clean these municipalities, because at the end of the day, we will never be able to even to form a credible bank for as long as we still deploy rotten fruits of cadre deployment in our municipalities. We are going to go ahead with the bank. We are having credible black men and women who can start a bank, but the only challenge is we need to remove these hungry lions in politics, because they are bringing the reputation of our country down. The world is laughing at us. I travel all around the world. They ask me, why do you like corruption? You understand what I mean? You cannot put hungry people into politics. Someone who was earning 2,300 at EPWP, you put that person as a speaker. You understand? I do data cleansing on the speakers, municipalities. Someone is MMC of finance, but he's got a Form 1. What does that say about the credibility of the organization? You understand me? We don't want dunderheads. We want visionaries. You must be able to put pen and paper and tell us, how are you going to run your ward? What is that you're going to make sure that your people receive services, and you've got the complaints of the community to make sure that every services are rendered. And this other problem that is costing municipalities, they are writing off debt. You know why they write off debt? They want to remain politically relevant in the wards. They don't care about the budget of Treasury or the municipality, because these people, they don't even bring investors into their towns. They only depend on the budget. So at the end of the day, going forward, there's a SALGA conference that is coming. I'm going there. I'm going to tell them, We don't need dunderheads in municipalities. You know, it pains me when you see municipalities could not even render services. Go to villages. There's no roads. From 1994 to date, no municipality has built a tarred road in a village. What does it tell you? You understand what I mean? You look at Limpopo, we still have pit toilets. Where is the money from the municipality? What are they doing with the money? So you understand me? So at the end of the day, going forward, we are going to form our black bank, but at the end of the day, it will be run by academics and visionaries, and we are going to take the same black people who are working at these white-owned banks and put them in our bank. But we need a governor who's got the interest of the people, not a governor who's going to be controlled by foreign investors or by the Europeans. And I want to ask the ANC one thing today. Stop taking our wealth to Europe and London. This economy belongs to our people. These mines, how can someone come from London to come and mine coal in Wheatbank for Eskom? What makes you think that people of London must mine coal for Eskom and sell it to Eskom? Why can't Eskom get their own mine and start mining their own coal? It means the tariffs will be low and even the employees will get better salaries. But now if you pay someone billions from London, who's financing that person to come and do mining? It's the same British companies. So we don't want foreigners to mine in the state. And I want to ask Mr. Gwede Mantashe, stop issuing mining licenses to foreign people. The mines must belong to the state because we want a wealthy state. China owns their economy. China will never give you a or a mine. But why should the Chinese come and mine here?
Yeah.
So no one should run our economy. We are going to fix these municipalities.
Yeah. Thanks very much. I mean, if there's one thing you're certainly not guilty of is not calling a spade a spade. We do appreciate your frank and straight to the point conversation. That's Fikile Pili, local government consultant. And of course, the issue that we were discussing this morning is relating to VBS. And you would have heard the governor saying, Lesetjo Kganyago saying that municipalities had no right to be banking with VBS in the first place. But Mr. Pili saying that they were actually on the right track to support a black bank, but indeed we saw what happened with this particular black bank. But we hope that moving forward things will be better.